Hey guys, today I'm going to talk to you about standardized testing and why it's not improving the education here in America. First of all, I want to give you a little history on standardized testing. Back in the mid-1800s is when it first started and became known. And due to the No Child's Left Behind Act in 2002, standardized testing became very rapid and it increased very rapidly and became very well known because it stated that all 50 states had to be involved in yearly and annual testing. And standardized testing is usually among math, English, science, and social studies, but some schools have even got a little more stricter and crazier about it and require students to take standardized tests on even like fine arts classes and other types of arts, and not the common general education classes that we all know. And a fact for you is that from 2000 to 2009, students dropped from 18th in the world to 31st in the world among math and science. And we also stayed about the same in reading. There was really no improvement or decrease. And due to the educational problems and the drop in education, a lot of the blame is pointed towards standardized testing. So, and there's a lot of other views and arguments on why standardized testing is not helping education. So a couple of those can be from the consequences that are involved among the schools, students, and staff, and also positive consequences of like high scores and how they can tempt somebody to be biased and how the money is involved and whether the cost is worth it or not. And also one of the big things is how limited a test can, how limited the amount of material that the test can have, and how that can be so beneficial for the students. So first of all, I'll start off by talking about some of the consequences to low test scores. So we'll start with the students, and students are required for certain grades that if they do not pass the standardized test at the end of the year, that they will not be allowed to move on to the next grade, which people can look at that as being very outrageous just because you see a student going through a whole school year and learning all this material, and then it comes down to one test that the government provides that a teacher can't really teach on and that they haven't been taught on, that a government provides, and that's saying that, well, I learned all this year, but it really don't matter when I take this one test. If I don't pass it, then I don't move on to the next grade. So that's one big conflict. And it also leads towards the teachers, and if a teacher has a certain number of students that don't perform like they should on a standardized test, they can be penalized as such as not looking as a good teacher and possibly even being fired. And this even continues on to the school. And if a school goes on to not have the teachers that perform, that don't have the students that perform, they can look as a low-level school and not get all the requirements that they need, and they could possibly even close the schools. Secondly, I'll move on to the high test scores, which might not seem like a problem or a conflict, but it very well can be, because due to high scores, teachers and they can be rewarded and receive bonuses, and also this involves more local and federal funding, which also involves more money. And so if you look at it as a teacher as, oh, hey, I'm going to get a reward, hey, I'm going to get a bonus, it might tempt you to focus on what you know or what you've seen is possibly going to be on the standardized test, just so it'll benefit you and benefit your students, which can actually hinder your students, and they're not getting the actual education that they need, and all the focus on everything else, they're focusing on one thing. And finally, which kind of leads into my final topic, is how the standardized testing can be limited in the amount of information that they have on them. And it's hard to put a student's line or a student's education career on one test, and it's just very one-sided, and it's just hard for people to understand that one test is going to kind of make you or break you kind of thing. And but even though when they say that there's a study been done that shows that even when students do improve their scores on standardized tests, that they don't always improve their cognitive abilities such as their memory, attention, and speed. And a lot of this is due to the stress that is put on and the focus that is put on to one particular test, that students just kind of forget everything else and just focus on this main one test and say that this is what I have to know, I have to do this, and that they just kind of either memorize or they just don't retain what they really need to. It's not almost an enjoyment at school of learning. It's almost, if I don't do this, I'm going to be penalized kind of thing. So that puts a lot of stress on students and makes it hard for students to actually get the real true education that they need, that we have always kind of known. And it's just hard for people to understand that a test that a government has given us is going to be the limiting factor, when it really needs to be based on the teachers teaching. They're the ones that are with you every day, all day, sitting there teaching you what they know and giving you the test on that material. And in the long run, that's what's going to be more beneficial, rather than one set standardized test questions saying, look, if you don't do this, you're going to pass or fail. So anyways, thanks for listening. This is a very heated topic, and a lot of parents and faculty and staff are involved, and I'm sure it's going to always be an ongoing and hot topic for people, but hopefully one day we can all resolve it and figure out what's best for us in America and the education here, and hopefully we can improve and make everything in education good here for us. Thanks.